I learned that when you design something, it never works the first time. There will always be some things that you didn't take into consideration. When the design people measured our sensor, they made the place where the sensor fits exactly the size of the sensor, which is not how... Well, because of that, the sensor doesn't really fit nicely. We just had to push it in a bit.
Today we're at the demo market of Module 2 of the Smart Environment project of CreaTe Technology.
So we learn how to make wireless systems, we learn how to use Arduino, we learn how to program with it, we learn how to incorporate sensors, let them transfer wirelessly to computers as well. And in the end we have our big project where we get taught step by step how to go from general problems to one final solution, which we then here present.
And this year's theme was wildlife monitoring.
Everyone is presenting their project right now and hoping for a good grade.
So we had 17 quite interesting ideas, and here we are celebrating together this event. That's a demo day.
We designed a wolf collar, and we can read the GPS location via this device. So this plugs into the computer, right? If I don't break it. So the idea is to educate the public about wolves, because 200 years ago we decided to get rid of the wolves, right? We thought they were dangerous, and then we hunted them to the point of near extinction. And now wolves are protected for like 50 years. But now Europe is looking much different. There are much more people, there's much more infrastructure, and much less wild land to roam around and be a wolf.
So when an insect falls in, inside there's an ultrasonic sensor that detects there is there, and it lifts it back up, and it sends the data that there was an insect to the computer, and the computer has a general counter and a graph that tells you how many bugs fell in every hour.
And our project is a sensor module that is capable of tracking fish migration throughout freshwater areas.
Well, in our case, we didn't want to monitor a certain type of animal, but we want to look into the problem instead. In our case, the problem will be the hunters. So we will place it in national parks all over the area. So in this case, when a gunshot has been fired, all 3 devices would pick it up. It will send a message automatically to the authorities and telling them that perhaps a gunshot has been fired and they should look into that.
Hedgehog can walk in the tunnel, and there are ultrasonic sensors that sense, I don't know if you can see the back one maybe over there, that senses if a hedgehog walks in or an animal walks in, and then the camera gets turned on. That's underneath this acrylic plate, so it's see-through. And hedgehogs have very distinct feed patterns, so then AI can see if it's a hedgehog or another type of animal. And this is our basic design for our product. But we also have the houses in Amsterdam that you can also put in front of it, so you can really make it a fun thing and an eye catcher in your garden.
Moths are very useful for ecosystems. They are food for many birds, and they are also pollinators of many flowers. In fact, there are some flowers which are only pollinated by moths. Some moth species are endangered right now, while some other species are seeing an increase in abundance. So I'm putting the fake dummy moth inside of the flower, and as the ultrasonic sensor is sensing the moth, it's taking a picture of it. We have some attracting factors, such as blue color, UV lights, and a container with a mixture of wine and sugar inside. Because after doing our research, we learned that moths are attracted to those things. Part of the project was to validate the results. So we went to the butterfly house in Germany to see if butterflies would be attracted to it.
It was actually quite unique. I've never worked on such a big project before that we could actually implement.
It was a lot of fun, though waterproofing the container was very annoying. We had a leak in a sensor. One of the sensors was manufactured wrongly, and there were a few small holes in the plates, which allowed water to seep through and almost destroy the circuits. But we saw it just before we turned it on and managed to drain the tank, replace the sensor with a new one. Now it works without having exploded.
I learned how an ultrasonic sensor works.
Programming was very different from the last module, because now we're actually interacting between the physical world and computers. And that's very fun to do, because you can actually make things happen.
In my case, I did most of the calculation on how to deploy everything and how far they should be apart and how do you know what decibel means what and what do we do with the information, how do we process it. And I personally find it really interesting.
I was the hardware person, so I really enjoyed putting together the circuit and then programming the sensor.
I really like building stuff, so I made a lot of the physical stuff. Is what I made, so I really like the building.
In total, in this module, you do a lot of different things, but they all tie up into smart environments, and you can use it all in this project.